Hey guys, this week I'm going to show you how to make a lighted sign. Stick around. Hello and welcome to this week's edition of BS with AJ. As I said before, this week I'm going to show you how to make a lighted sign. I'm having a class reunion and it's going to be at a place where it's kind of hard to see the driveway. So I've decided to make a sign that you can see because it's going to be close to dark. It's going to light up with some LED lights and everything. It's going to be pretty neat. So we'll go ahead and get started with that here in just a second. But if you like videos like this, be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and consider supporting BS with AJ on Patreon so we can do bigger and better projects for you guys. Also, if you have any questions or comments, be sure to leave those down in the comments section below. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you know when I post new videos. Alright, let's go ahead and get started, guys. Alright guys, so for this project we're going to be using pallet wood because mainly it's free. And that's the best price, of course. We're also going to be using my handy dandy pallet buster thing that I made the other day. If you haven't seen how I made that video, I'm going to go ahead and link that down in the description below. So like I said, the first thing we got to do is go ahead and tear these pallets down. I don't know if I'm going to need both of them or not, but I'd rather have more wood than I need. So we're going to go ahead and tear these down now. Alright guys, so now what we're going to do is we're going to take these boards and we're going to cut them down on both sides to make sure they're pretty straight, so that way when we glue them together there's no gaps in them. So all these boards are pretty close to 5 3/4 inches with variances in between them here. Now some of them dip in, some of them kind of get a little bigger in certain areas and stuff. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and set our table saw on 5 1/2 inches and we're going to run one side. And then we're going to set it down to 5 1/4 inches and run the opposite side. That way we have two parallel sides so we can be gluing them together, like I said, just to avoid any cracks in it. Alright guys, and here's what we've got so far. As you can see, these boards don't have much of a gap, if any, in between them here. It makes them really nice and tight as opposed to using just the boards right off the pallets, which would have pretty large gaps. Since we're going to be using lighting behind this to light up the words, we don't want to have much, if any, gaps between them. Now this is the best looking side of each of these boards, so this is going to be the face of our sign. Now what we're going to do is go ahead and take this and flip it over 180 degrees, so that way we have our back facing up in this same order, because this is the way I want it to look. Then what we're going to do is go ahead and glue the edge of each of these boards together, and to kind of help support it, since this last board right here is a little bit thinner and it's also kind of warped, we're going to cut two supports that are about 16 inches long. So it's going to go from about the middle of this board to the middle of this board, and we're going to put them about 6 inches from each edge. That way we still have time, enough room to go ahead and straighten up our edges if we don't get it glued up 100% square. The reason we're doing that is just to kind of help line these boards up a little bit better. Now this is an outdoor sign, and the only time you're going to see it is at night when you're driving by it and it's lit up. So I'm not really that concerned about it, but I do want to try and help it a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started on that now. Alright guys, now that our boards are all glued up together and everything, I went ahead and put some lines on here with tape showing where I want to keep our lettering in. And I went ahead and taped all the letters together in about the way I want them set. So I'm going to put the edge of these letters up next to that yellow line, and I'm going to line it up with the bottom. Just about like that. So that's about how it's going to look, and I'm going to trim off the edges a little bit. But the first thing we're going to have to do is go ahead and put some masking tape down between our yellow lines, and we're going to use some stick glue to glue this down. The reason I use the masking tape down is because whenever you go to cut all this out, afterwards you have to peel off your paper, and sometimes it likes sticking to the wood. Now, I really don't want to have to go back and sand all this. I like the look of it like it is, so I'm going to go ahead and put the masking tape down, and once I'm done cutting it out, I just pull off the masking tape and there's no problems. So let's go ahead and start this now. Alright guys, now we're going to just go ahead and peel off all this tape that we put down. You'll notice I put the tape strips from one side and I layered them over all the way across. So if I start from the same side, it should all just come off pretty easily in one piece for the most part. Alright guys, now we're going to add a piece of plexiglass to the back of this. So we need to measure between our two boards here and then figure out how much we want to cover. We're going to make sure we go over by about an inch or two. So I'm going to cut my piece at 25¼ by 18 inches. Alright, so let's go ahead and do that now. Alright guys, now we have our piece of plexiglass here. I know it's kind of hard to see since it's clear and everything, but it's sitting right here on our table here. We're going to be using a random orbit sander and sanding it down with 220 grit. And the reason we're doing this is we're going to keep it from being so translucent. So like right now I can see every scratch behind this thing, you know. So what we're going to do is, like I said, we're going to sand it probably on both sides just to make sure it worked pretty good. But the reason we're doing this is it's actually going to be kind of like a diffuser, basically. So if you'll look at any LED lights, any shop lights or anything like that that has that plastic over them that you can't actually see through, that's pretty much what we're trying to make, something similar to that. So that way when our lights shine, it'll actually distribute the light evenly. guys, well here's what our plexiglass ended up looking like. I started out with 220 grit, but it ended up taking a lot longer than anticipated. So I went ahead and stepped it up to 120 grit and went over the whole thing, and it went a lot faster. It made it a lot cloudier, which is exactly what I was after. And I made sure and did it to both sides, so that way we could, again, make it as cloudy as possible. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and glue this down. You can use construction adhesive for this. Alright, now that this backing has had time to dry on, we're going to go ahead and take all these cutout pieces for the O's, the 8 here, and this A, and we're going to go ahead and glue them on right now. Alright guys, we went ahead and made a back piece similar to the front piece. I didn't take quite as much time to make sure there wasn't any gaps between there because it's the back piece and you're not going to see it, and also because it's going to be displayed at night. We went ahead and put some spacers here on the front, the top and the bottom here. We went ahead and put our front piece on there to see how thick of a piece we needed, and then we just kind of filled in the gap just a little bit. But also this is going to serve as a place to glue our lights to. So we're going to go ahead and glue those to the inside all along here facing inward. And we're also going to go ahead and take some aluminum foil and hot glue that down here in the center part. The reason we're doing that is not only to keep the light from shining through these cracks that we have here, but also to help reflect the light towards the front. Now we want to do that because it's going to make the sign just a little bit brighter. And we want all the light we can get because it's going to be showing at night and you want to be able to read it. So let's go ahead and get started now. Alright guys, now it's time to install our lights. I'm going to put a link down in the description below of which lights I'm using here. Basically these lights here, they just kind of unplug right here at the controller. And I drilled a hole right here to stick this through. So that way I can get to the batteries and I can turn it on and off without any trouble. So this also has an adhesive strip here on the back. So what we're going to do is go ahead and peel that off. We'll stick this through there however much we want. And we're going to go ahead and start lining the inside here. So we'll start doing that now. Alright guys, now all we have left to do is to take our back piece and attach our front piece to it. So now you'll see that our back piece and our front piece both have these support pieces holding these boards together. Those are going to lay on top of each other. And this here, these two pieces on the top and the bottom are going to kind of guide it into place. So what we're going to do now is just set it on. And that fits pretty snug right about right there. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and take our sign and flip it over. I'm going to put the screws in from the back side so it's not visible from the front. Alright guys, let's test it out. It has several different ways you can do the lights here. You can have it kind of faded to each color like it is now. There's a couple different modes where it does that, switches between a couple different colors here. Let's see. You can pick individual colors, or you can have it flash all the colors, or just one color, and you can change the speed also. As you can see, it's kind of dramatic how much you can actually change the speed here. I personally like either the single colors, which there are several different, let's see here. You can see all the different colors here. And it's not quite as dramatically different as you could see through just the LEDs themselves, but I'd say it works pretty good. And one of my favorite modes is the one where it just kind of fades in between all the different colors like that. I like that a lot. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this week's video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and consider supporting BS with AJ on Patreon so we can do bigger and better projects for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, be sure and leave those down in the comment section below. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you'll know when I post new videos. I'll see you next week.